March 10th, 1913. A woman arrives at a psychiatric hospital in the south of France. She is 48 years old. She is intelligent, educated, and completely sane, according to the doctors who will examine her. She is also one of the most gifted sculptors of her generation. Her hands have shaped marble and bronze into figures so alive they seem to breathe. Artists who have seen her work have wept. She will never sculpt again. She will spend the next 30 years inside these walls, not because she is dangerous, not because she needs treatment, but because her own family does not want her in the world anymore. Her name is Camille Claudel, and this is the story of what they did to her and what she left behind. Camille Claudel was born in 1864 in a small village in northern France called Villeneuve-sur-Fer. She was not a gentle child. She was stubborn, meaning she refused to change her mind easily. She was intense, meaning she felt everything very deeply. And from a very young age, she was obsessed with one thing: shaping things with her hands. When she was a child, there was no clay in the village, so she dug it herself from the earth in the fields near her home. She sculpted figures from the mud. Heads, hands, bodies. She practiced until they looked exactly right. Her father, Louis Prosper Claudel, recognized something extraordinary in his daughter. He supported her completely, pushing her to develop her talent, even when it was unconventional, meaning unusual and unexpected, for a woman to pursue art seriously. Her mother was different. Louise Claudel believed women should marry, manage a home, and be quiet. She had no interest in Camille's gift. Her attention was for her son, Paul, who would later become a famous poet. To their mother, Paul was the future. Camille was a problem, but Camille's talent could not be hidden. A local sculptor named Alfred Boucher saw her early work and was astonished, meaning he could not believe how skilled she was. He began to teach her. When Camille was 17, her father made a decision that would change everything. He moved the family to Paris. For a young woman in 1881, Paris was both a dream and a danger. It was the center of the art world, and it was a place where a woman, if she was talented enough and brave enough, might just be taken seriously. Camille intended to be taken seriously. In Paris, Camille joined an atelier, meaning an artist's workshop, where several young women studied sculpture together. Women could not attend the prestigious École des Beaux-Arts, the main art school in France. That was for men only. So women found other ways in. Camille found her way in faster than anyone. Alfred Boucher, her teacher from the village, won a prestigious prize and left for Rome. Before he left, he arranged for his most gifted student to continue her studies under the most famous sculptor in France. His name was Auguste Rodin. Rodin was 43 years old. Camille was 19. He was already celebrated, meaning already recognized as a great artist. She was unknown. He had power. She had talent. And from the moment they met, something happened between them that neither of them fully understood. Rodin later said, in his own words, that he had never seen a young artist with such natural ability. Her hands, he said, understood stone the way some people understand music, without being taught, without effort, instinctively, meaning as if they simply knew. He offered her a position in his studio. She accepted. It was the beginning of everything and the beginning of her destruction. For the next decade, Camille and Rodin worked together, argued together, and loved each other. The word that history most often uses to describe Camille is muse, meaning a source of inspiration for an artist, and it's true that she inspired Rodin deeply. He used her face, her hands, her body in many of his most famous works. But Camille was not simply a muse. She was a sculptor herself, and a brilliant one. She created works during this period that stand completely on their own. The waltz. Two figures dancing, so fluid, meaning so smooth and natural, They seem impossible to have been carved from metal. The gossipers, a group of women huddled together, whispered secrets visible in their posture. Young girl with a sheaf, a figure so delicate, critics refused to believe a woman had made it. But the question that historians still argue about today is this: where does Rodin end and Camille begin? Some of Rodin's most celebrated works, pieces in museums around the world, show techniques and ideas that appear in Camille's private sketches first. The hands, the gestures, the emotional intensity. Some art historians believe that Rodin, consciously or not, absorbed her ideas and presented them as his own. Rodin had another woman in his life. Her name was Rose Buret, a seamstress he had lived with since he was 23 years old. He never left Rose, he never married Camille. And as the years passed, Camille began to understand that she was always going to be the other woman, the one kept in the shadows. She endured it, meaning she suffered it without breaking, for years, because the work was extraordinary, and because she loved him. But love and loyalty are not the same thing. Around 1892, Camille discovered she was pregnant. She had an abortion, meaning she ended the pregnancy. She was 27 years old. Rodin did not leave Rose. He did not marry Camille. He made promises that he did not keep. After this, something changed in Camille. A door closed, or perhaps she finally saw a door that had always been closed. She simply hadn't been looking. In 1898, she ended the relationship. She was 33 years old. She had given him 14 years. She moved into a studio alone. She refused to see Rodin. She refused to see almost anyone. But here is the remarkable thing, the thing that history often forgets. After the break, after the pain and the anger, she made some of the most powerful work of her life. The Age of Maturity is a bronze sculpture made between 1899 and 1902. It shows three figures: an old woman described as decrepit, meaning broken and ancient, pulling a man away; a young woman kneeling, reaching up, her hand extended, begging him to stay. The young woman is Camille, the man is Rodin, the old woman is Rose. The sculpture was commissioned by the French government. They later cancelled, meaning they withdrew, the order. Rodin, who still had influence in the art world, is widely believed to have intervened. The piece was never cast in bronze during her lifetime. She never saw it as she had imagined it. In the years after the break, Camille's world became smaller and smaller. She boarded up the windows of her studio. She stopped going out. She refused visitors. She ate almost nothing. She slept with furniture pushed against the door. She became convinced, meaning she believed completely, without doubt, that Rodin was plotting against her, that he was stealing her ideas, that a group of enemies was working to destroy her reputation. Was she right? Some historians say, perhaps. Her fears about Rodin stealing her work may not have been entirely imaginary. She had real reasons to be angry, real reasons to feel betrayed. But the isolation made everything worse, without other people, without work, without the outside world. Her thoughts turned dark and then darker. She began to destroy her own sculptures. Pieces she had worked on for months, smashed on the studio floor. Years of work gone, she told no one why. Her father wrote to her. He worried, he sent money, he tried to visit. Her mother did not write. Her brother Paul, by now a famous diplomat and writer, disapproved of her entire life, her freedom, her relationship with Rodin, her refusal to behave like a respectable woman. He was religious, conservative, and deeply ashamed of her. Paul Claudel was about to make a decision that would end his sister's life in the world. In March 1913, Camille's father died. He was the one person in her family who had always believed in her. He was gone. 1 week later, just 1 week, Her brother Paul signed the papers to have her committed, meaning officially placed, in a psychiatric institution. Her mother signed too. She was taken to Ville-Évrard Asylum outside Paris. Later, she was moved to Mondevergue in the south of France. She would never leave. The doctors who examined her wrote repeatedly that Camille Claudel was not a danger to herself or others, that there was no medical reason to keep her, that she could and should be released. Her family refused. For 30 years, Camille wrote letters to her brother, to her mother, to anyone who might listen. The letters that survive are heartbreaking, meaning they are so sad they cause physical pain to read. She described the food, the other patients, the cold. She asked again and again to come home. She offered to live quietly, to bother no one, to disappear. Her mother never visited, not once in 30 years. Paul visited a few times in the early years, then stopped. In the last 12 years of her life, he did not come at all. She never sculpted again. She who had shaped bronze and marble with her hands, who had made figures that breathed, sat in a room in the south of France and waited. She died on October 19th, 1943. She was 78 years old. She was buried in a mass grave, meaning a shared grave, without a name, without a marker. Her most important sculptures were still sitting unseen in storage. For decades after her death, Camille Claudel was a footnote, meaning a small, barely noticed note at the bottom of the page, a name attached to Rodin, his student, his muse, his lover. Then slowly the world began to look again. In 1984, a major exhibition in Paris showed her work alongside Rodin's for the first time as equals. People were stunned, meaning they could not believe what they were seeing. Critics who had dismissed her began to reconsider, meaning to think again. In 1988, a film about her life, starring Isabelle Adjani, won 2 César Awards, the most prestigious film prizes in France. Millions of people heard her name for the first time, and in 2017, something remarkable happened. The Musée Camille Claudel opened in Nogent-sur-Seine, the town where she had made her first sculptures as a young woman, an entire museum dedicated to her alone, not to Rodin, not to any man, to Camille. Her sculptures are extraordinary. Standing in front of the waltz, you understand immediately that this is not the work of a student or a muse or a footnote. This is the work of a master. And the question that haunts, meaning deeply troubles, everyone who learns her story remains unanswered. Was Camille Claudel mentally ill? Possibly. The isolation, the paranoia, the destruction of her work, these are real. Or was she a brilliant, unconventional woman in a century that had no place for brilliant, unconventional women? A woman who loved the wrong man, made the wrong enemies, refused to be quiet, and was punished for it in the most complete way imaginable. Locked away, silenced, erased. Perhaps both things are true. Perhaps that is the most frightening answer of all. She once wrote from inside the asylum, "I lived in an interesting world. I had a gift. What did they do with it? What indeed?" Thank you for watching Storied English. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who deserves to hear it. We'll see you next time.